Welcome to the Student Chef Competition. Today, we will discuss the National School Lunch Program, meal components, and culinary tips. This overview will assist you as you develop your recipes. School nutrition is a valuable partner in education, pledging to provide coordinated support for outstanding student achievement through our commitment to excellent service in each of these core areas: quality meals, student and community engagement, and professional development. In this presentation, we will discuss the role and function of the National School Lunch Program, identify required school lunch meal components, describe how meal components are credited to meet the NSLP meal pattern, practice utilizing United States Department of Agriculture resources used for meal component crediting, implement, apply, review culinary tips and techniques to create flavorful and innovative recipes. Review culinary techniques and trends to create flavorful and innovative recipes. The National School Lunch Program, NSLP, is a federally assisted meal program operating in schools nationwide. The program provides reimbursement to schools that meet the federal requirements for school meals. The NSLP meal pattern and nutritional standards are based on the latest dietary guidelines for Americans. The meal pattern increases the availability of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in the school menu. It reduces sodium, saturated fat, and trans fat levels in meals and meets the nutrition needs of school children within their calorie requirements. We will use this overview as a foundation to help you understand the criteria. As a reminder, My Plate focuses on whole fruits. Whole fruits include fresh, frozen, dried, and canned options. Choose whole fruits more often than 100% fruit juice. Varies your veggies. Vegetables are divided into 5 subgroups: dark green vegetables, red and orange vegetables, legumes, which are beans and peas, starchy vegetables, and other vegetables. Choose vegetables from all subgroups. Makes half of grains whole grains. Grains include whole grains and refined, enriched grains. Choose whole grains more often. Varies your protein routine. Protein foods include both animal, such as seafood, meat, poultry, and eggs, and plant sources such as nuts, beans and peas, seeds, and soy products. Choose a variety of lean protein foods from both plant and animal sources. Encourages moving to low-fat or fat-free milk or yogurt. Dairy includes milk, yogurt, cheese, and calcium-fortified soy beverages such as soy milk. Choose fat-free or skim and low-fat 1% dairy foods. Like My Plate, there are 5 meal components that must be offered to students at lunch. They include grains, meat alternates, vegetables, fruits, and milk. The amounts that must be offered to children in each component varies based on the ages served. There are daily and weekly requirements for each grade group. We will discuss how each food credits or counts toward the meal pattern. Sometimes the amount of an item served is the amount it credits toward the meal pattern, and other times it is different. Let's discuss each component in more detail. Let's discuss the grain component. Grains are credited in ounce equivalents. All grains must be whole grain rich. This means that less than or 50% of the grains in the product must be a whole grain. Let's look at some examples of whole grains. Some examples of whole grains include whole wheat flour, whole kernel corn, brown rice, and oats, to name a few. Grain options can include purchased grains. These items include bagels, pasta, bread, tortillas, and other flours, including corn masa and masa harina. You may find that some products have enriched grain sources, which are also acceptable to use. USDA has provided a chart that provides equivalents for the different types of grain items served. We will discuss this chart later in the presentation. If you want to use flour and other cereal grains in your recipe, the USDA has provided factors to use when calculating crediting. Entrees generally have 2-ounce equivalents of whole grain. A grain side item generally has a 1-ounce equivalent. How do you know if a product is a whole grain? The best way to tell if a product is a whole grain is to look at the ingredient list on the nutrition facts label. Let's check these items to see. The item on the left is an example of a whole grain pasta label. It is listed as the first ingredient or is the only ingredient on the product label. This tells you that a majority or most of the product contains whole grain. The item on the right is an example of a bread nutrition facts label. Whole wheat is listed at the beginning of the ingredient list. This means that most of the product is whole grain. Both items meet the whole grain rich requirement. The USDA has resources and tools to make sure grain items are credited correctly. Let's discuss how to use one of those resources next. The USDA Grain Crediting Resource Exhibit A. This table explains how to credit grains based on the type. It is defined by group and has specific grain items within that group. It also tells you the ounce equivalents for the group and the minimum serving for the items listed. This tool is in the Resources section at the end of this presentation. As a reminder, you are not permitted to create a dessert recipe. Let's see if we can find a grain of truth. Student Chef Kelsey would like to make Asian-inspired fried rice for her recipe. Which of the following rice options is the best to meet the whole grain rich requirement? If you said option B, that is correct. Whole grain parboiled brown rice is listed as the second ingredient after water. Let's try another one. Chef Kelsey's teammate Roberto wants to figure out how many cups of cooked brown rice he needs for a 2-ounce serving. His options are A, 1/2 cup, B, 3/4 cup, or C, 1 cup. Review the example on the next slide to help you find the best answer. Rice is categorized in Group H. Ounce equivalents and minimum serving sizes are included. Let's check. If you answered letter C, that is correct. The Grain Crediting Resource Exhibit A table indicates 1 ounce is equivalent to 1/2 cup of cooked rice. Therefore, Roberto will need 1 cup of brown rice for a 2-ounce serving. Now let's discuss fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are separate components and have different daily and weekly requirements. They are both credited in cups and all forms count. This includes fresh, frozen, canned, dried, and juice. A fruit or vegetable side item would have at least 1/2 cup of fruit or vegetable. Generally, a cup of fruit or vegetable counts as a cup toward the meal pattern. However, there are 2 exceptions. Raw leafy greens include romaine lettuce, fresh spinach or kale, collards or mustard greens. Leafy greens credit as half the volume. This means 1 cup counts as 1/2 cup. Dried fruit is the opposite. It credits as double the volume served. This means 1 cup counts as 2 cups. The next component we will discuss is meat and meat alternates. This component includes foods like beef, poultry, fish, nuts and seeds, and their butters, eggs, and beans. It also includes foods such as yogurt and cheese. This is a bit different as cheese and yogurt are included in the dairy category of MyPlate. Like grains, it is credited in ounce equivalents. The last component is fluid milk. 1 cup of fluid milk must be offered in at least 2 types with every meal. Only fat-free flavored and unflavored and low-fat unflavored milk may be offered to students. Only milk or milk substitutes that are allowed may be offered to meet this component. Lactose-free or lactose-reduced milk are acceptable if they follow the milk types listed on this slide. For this competition, milk used in recipes cannot count toward this component. In addition to meeting the component requirements, schools must also meet nutrient requirements. The nutrients of concern are calories, sodium, saturated fat, and trans fat. The standards for calories, sodium, and saturated fat are to be met on average over the school week. This means that the levels of any of these in any one meal could exceed the standard as long as the average number for the week meets the standard. Trans fat is looked at with each food product and ingredient used. A serving must contain 0 grams of trans fat per serving unless the trans fat is naturally occurring. Let's look at the National School Lunch Program Meal Pattern. This is a tool that meal planners use in school nutrition to ensure that meals meet the daily and weekly requirements. The chart is organized by grade level, weekly and daily amounts, meal components, and nutrient requirements. For the competition, we will focus on middle school and high school. Daily amounts for each category are in parentheses, but weekly amounts are not. Grades 6 through 8 require 3/4 cup of vegetables daily or 3/4 cup weekly. Grades 9 through 12 require 1 cup of fruit and vegetables daily or 5 cups weekly. For grains and meat or meat alternates, the requirement is 2 ounces equivalents per day or 10 ounces equivalents for the week. Let's discuss how this information relates to your recipe for the student chef competition. High school recipes must be an entree for school lunch. An entree is the main course of a meal and has combination of meat or meat alternate plus whole grain rich food, meat or meat alternate plus vegetable, meat or meat alternate plus fruit. Nutrient requirements for an entree per serving should be less than the maximums listed in this chart for calories, saturated fat, and sodium content. As mentioned in the meal pattern slide, meats or meat alternates and grains must be a 2-ounce equivalent each per serving. If you are competing at the middle school level, the recipe must be a vegetable side for school lunch. Vegetable side dish equal 1/2 cup serving of vegetables. Nutrient requirements. The nutrient requirements for the vegetable side dish per serving should be less than the maximums listed in this chart for calories, saturated fat, and sodium content. Let's discuss a few culinary tips and trends to help you create innovative and flavorful recipes. As mentioned on the nutrient requirements slide, sodium is limited in school meals. However, there are several ways to reduce sodium without losing flavor. Let's face it, everyone wants flavorful food. Of course, there is a lot of data to tell you why flavor is essential. As student chefs, we encourage you to think about what you want in your recipe. What would students like to eat in school meals? What flavors do you or your friends enjoy? No one wants to eat bland, boring food. Sodium or salt has a purpose in cooking and should not be eliminated entirely. But sodium and salt are not what create excellent dishes and amazing flavor. It can easily make foods too salty. Also, it can cause foods to be tough, dry, and rubbery. Instead, consider these strategies to ensure delicious, flavorful dishes. Choose fresh or frozen fruits and vegetables. Select whole grain products that you can customize with flavor over processed grains. Add spices or include fresh or dried herbs. Or use a seasoning blend that combines spices and herbs. Consider trying a different cooking techniques such as roasting, sautéing, or caramelization to bring out the natural flavor in fruits and vegetables. Add citrus juice and zest to brighten or use liquids that school kitchens typically discard like peach, mandarin orange, or pineapple juice. Incorporate seasonal and local ingredients. They are at the peak of the season and provides more flavor. Create a glaze using a reduction technique that has a more intense, complex flavor. Food trends change the way people eat. If you have a favorite food or item you like to buy, it may have started with a trend. Information from trends can provide insight into why consumers choose what they eat. Food trends can be food, flavor, ingredients, or meals. We can also use trends in school nutrition to give us insight into students' food behaviors and preferences. In the next few slides, let's check out a few popular food trends. Here are some menu winners that are growing in popularity. Birria. Birria is a Latin meat dish or stew composed of dried chilies, vinegar, garlic, and other herbs and spices. It is known for its deep, rich flavor and texture. Global. These are dishes inspired by global cuisines like Mexican, Indian, Caribbean, Cuban, Greek, and Korean. Global dishes may be authentic or inspired. Global cuisine does not have to be 100% authentic. Influences may come from authentic dish ingredients, flavors, techniques, and serve as inspiration for creating dishes that are new and exciting. Plant-forward. Plant-forward recipes are popular with students. Think of smaller amounts of animal protein mixed with plant-based proteins like a burrito bowl with black beans, pinto beans, and a small amount of shredded chicken and cheese. Familiar remixes. These are familiar flavors with a gentle twist on timeless comfort foods. This is also called nostalgia. There are several popular flavors being featured on menus: sweet, sour, and spicy. Think of a chili lime spice with pineapple. Sweet and savory flavors may have fun combinations like apples and cheddar, melons and soy sauce, or strawberry and ghost pepper. Citrus blends combine lemon, lime, and orange, bringing brightness to dishes. Barbecue influences can provide smoky flavors, while sour flavors can incorporate pickled or fermented vegetables and fruits. Mushrooms add umami or savory flavor to dishes as well. Here are a few other food trends to consider. Look at the natural color in foods. It grabs attention like ube, purple sweet potato. Condiment mashups add twists with interesting combinations like sambal oelek and mustard, and herb-infused honey with rosemary or thyme, or barbecue sauce combinations using fruit, spices, or chilies. Lastly, presentation is key. Think about bright colors, fun patterns, new textures, and personalization for your customers, the students. We also eat with our eyes. We hope that you find these culinary tips and trends helpful as you create your dishes. The District School Nutrition Program is a great resource. They can help develop recipes that meet the meal pattern and dietary specifications, recipes that work in the school meal program, available ingredients and equipment, and labor efficiency. Remember that recipes do need to be approved by your school nutrition director. Thus, it is helpful to start the process early. The Georgia Department of Education Student Chef website also contains resources that will assist you. The Georgia Harvest of the Month website contains resources for each produce item, including fact sheets, menu and recipe ideas, food-based education opportunities, and general resources. Scan the QR code on this slide to navigate to the websites listed. Additional culinary resources are available on the Georgia Department of Education School Nutrition website and on the Culinary Institute of Child Nutrition website. Scan the QR code on this slide to navigate to the websites listed. You can find more information about school meals on our website. Also, we encourage you to like, follow, and engage with us on social media.